Live! It's Bitcoin Saturday Night Live with Ugly Old Goat, and I don't even have a mask because you know what? Bitcoin's at $11,000. Can you believe that? Well, that last 1,000 caught me off guard. When the futures went over 10, I started selling. Fortunately, I didn't hold that very long. But at any rate, this is going to be a really exciting event. I've got some great traders and some great thinkers here. We're going to be talking about money management and what we're going to call it is it's actually a new paradigm in trading. And you can kind of throw out your charts today. We're not looking at that. The only chart we're looking at is your high, your low, and your close. But before we start, I want to introduce you to the GOAT lady.
Hi.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the cruise, the conference. Again, it's September 19th through the 22nd. Now, the price is 1/20th of a Bitcoin, but that when I priced that, I think Bitcoin was about $500, so it's $250. So for our members only, if you are already a member and have a lifetime subscription, now that's my life, not yours, okay? If I die tomorrow, you got a bad deal, but if I'm around 10 years, you got a great deal, okay? So anyway, my life, not yours. It's but if you're already a member, we are offering the conference tickets for half price through Monday, the next 4 days. And I'm just doing it because you know what? This Bitcoin price, I wasn't planning on selling the conference tickets for that much. And so I'm just going to lower the price. But I know it's going to be sold out. We only have 60 seats and it doesn't look like we're going to be able to expand it. And I'm going to, I'm paying the expenses for everybody, flying them all in. It's going to be a great conference. And be really a one-on-one, hands-on experience. So I wanted to outline that first. So two things, the newsletter, if you want to sign up for the newsletter, we have a link, and it's actually, it's a link to one of our speakers here, Zezo Duarte. And if you ever had a chance, we did a members-only broadcast this last week, and it was very personal. And a very, Zezos is courageous for talking about it. And so, I mean, basically he got completely wrecked. He lost his hodl. And I've never lost my hodl, but I've been completely wrecked before I ever got into Bitcoin. So I can speak from experience. And so it's a way that I want to try and restore him. He's actually, I'm going to have him be a featured speaker at the cruise because I think this is something that, everybody, we don't like to address it. We want to just address successes, but we learn from our mistakes. So let's talk a little bit about the conference. The conference is half price for members. If you're not a member, become a member through Duarte, and then you can sign up before Monday for half price. That would be what, 0.025 of a Bitcoin. So $250, $300. The cruise is between, I think, about $400, depending upon the accommodations. Once you get a conference ticket, then you're sent to the cruise line and you can sign up for the cruise line. Now, it's priced on 2 people in a room. So if you're coming just by yourself, let us know and we'll assign you someone else, so you can share a room with them. If you do the VIP, we're going to assign you with a speaker. You actually be able to, share accommodations with one of the featured speakers. Okay, Andy, can you tell us a little bit more about Ensenada?
Yeah. With the plan about the 19 to the 22, September 19 to the 22. We have planned and have the 19 evening in LA. We take the
evening, yeah, and then we check. You go through a little safety check on the cruise, and then we'll have we have dinner and a conference that night. We'll have a meeting that night, and then all day the next day when we're on the water. I haven't set up the schedule yet. I don't even have all the speakers yet, but we have some great ones. We got Max Hillenbrand's coming.
And we can have good dinner after the conference.
Yes. Yep.
And they can we can share with everybody there too.
And then, so it's all day, and then that night on the 20th, on the cruise day, it's all day conference and dinner that night. And then on Saturday, we arrive in Ensenada, and there is a race down here, the Baja 400.
400.
We thought it was going to leave out at Ensenada, but it's not. It's going to leave out at Estero Beach.
Yes, it's at the Estero Beach. Probably after we are out of the cruise ship.
Yeah.
Probably we can contract for the people that sign up want to go to the
But that'll all
race.
be in the, that'll all be
We can
included.
be all in one bus and we can go all together as soon as possible because the races start, the motorcycles start like between the 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Right.
And the cars, the trucks start 7 o'clock, 7:30 until, depending how many racers will be there. Last time was almost 11 o'clock a.m. And after that, people can eat there something there at the race, or can go to the Estero Beach, and there's a nice restaurant there.
Yeah,
too.
or we might even be able to come back through and see the Bitcoin house where we do our shows.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see. We haven't worked out all the details. The other
We
thing,
have to check details.
the other thing that we're going to be doing, we'll be back on the ship for Saturday Night Live. So we'll be doing Bitcoin Saturday Night on the cruise
On
ship.
the cruise ship.
That'll be a good one.
Oh, that can be good. Everybody can
everybody can participate.
there. Yeah.
So,
Any question that they have, they can ask whatever they want, and it can be like a Bitcoin Saturday night and ask all everything. You know?
all right. Well, I think that covers it all. So I'm going to start. Okay.
But no. The people that don't want to go to the races, race, they want to go to the wine country. They can go to the beach, and they can just enjoy the downtown.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of activities that we can do here in Ensenada.
Yep.
You know, and they can come with us to the Bitcoin house. We can after the race, because I love the race. I want to go to the race. If you want to have people here in Bitcoin house, you can be here. I can go with the people who want to go to the race.
And she likes those big trucks. She just got a new big F-250 diesel.
I love that truck.
You should have waited until June to buy it, my love. It would have been a lot cheaper. It cost me a lot less Bitcoin.
No problem. I can have another truck. Or probably a Raptor.
All right.
No worry.
We got everything covered?
Yeah, we have only the members who want to buy VIP tickets. We are planning and VIP tickets.
Right. There'll be a special. The VIP is twice as much, but you get a 50% discount. So like a VIP is a 20th of a Bitcoin, and a standard now. This is through money. If you're already a member, a lifetime member, so you can sign up as a lifetime member first. And if you sign up as a lifetime member, that is 0.1 Bitcoin, but you do get a 15% discount if you use the link that we have on this.
Yeah, and you can have the person that has VIP tickets can be at the cabin with one of the speakers and have a special meeting.
Yeah, I might just
and
set up a special thing. They can have an hour consultation with me or something. I
And
don't
we
know
can
why, but
and we are planning to have a present for everybody that come to the conference.
okay,
To everybody.
I'm sure. She takes care of things very well. Okay, so let's get on with the meeting. Let's talk about money management. I'm going to do a brief introduction. First, this is Kestutis. We met. Actually, Zezo Duarte introduced us to each other, and he's almost a neighbor. He's across the border in San Diego. And we've really, he taught me some new things. I watched one of his videos and I just was laughing at it. He says, "Oh, you watch this." I said, "You'll never look at a chart the same way." And it says, and then he shows, hey, there's these Y's and there's these H's. I said, and then I looked. You're right. I'll never look at a chart the same way after seeing that, because it's just a different way of looking at it. So, Venzen, we know each other. Welcome, my friend. Long time, and we've never really met. I'm so glad we're doing it.
Hey there, everybody. So, just a sound check. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Hey, so
You sound great.
Ugly, all good. How are you, Ugly? It's true. We've been speaking to each other for well over a year, and we've never actually been on the same show face to face.
Right. Well,
pleasure to
and
be
I know that you're reaching out. I know everybody seems to be going this direction. I'm so glad because it's my emphasis. You know, I teach that the secret to success in trading is money management, and I notice that you really want to go that direction. Tony even is having a special section on that because everybody seems to have their own system, and those are all fine. But they're all bound to fail if you can't manage those funds, and that funds is really you, and that's what that's my emphasis. And number one is money management. Number two is fundamentals and the distant third is the technical. But everybody seems to have it reversed. Everybody has their own technical, because we tend to we want to know what the market's going to do tomorrow or next week, or we want to know the high lows and magic points and all that. And yet still most people lose at trading. And I found that every good trader, there's one good common denominator, and that is they manage money. And you know what? One of the best examples that we've recently had, and Duarte and I talked about it, is Tyler Jenks. Because he's been, so bad-mouthed because of his call. And yet, he's only made 2 Bitcoin trades. He caught the big move up in 2016, and he stepped back in at 6,000. And, but all people are going to remember is, he thought it would go to 1,000. And you know what? It still could. But the whole thing is, I'm a gunslinger. I trade differently. I'm not a money manager. I don't manage millions of dollars, and yet he knows how to manage those funds and do it profitably and not get wiped out. And the other, the principles that it's just rarely written about, but one of the books that I recommend is Duarte. Why don't you tell us about that book? You can review it better than me.
Oh, The Art of Execution. For me,
The Art of Execution.
By far the best book I ever read about trading, and there's not a single line in the book to teach you where the market goes. It's just about how to react when the price goes against you, or reaction. That book is an incredible thing. You can read that in a day. It's something that everybody before trade should be reading for sure.
And the guy that wrote it doesn't trade. He's not a trader. He hires money managers all over the world and identifies who the successful ones are. And he hit the nail on the head. I mean, I didn't know what trimming was. I didn't know because I've always been doing it, but I didn't know what it was until I read his book. Now I said, yeah, here's what here's trimming and this kind of a thing. But it's just a great thing. So, okay, I'm going to go back to you. I'm going to defer to you, Venzen, because I know you're emphasizing this now. Give us your thoughts. To me, I think it's particularly in Bitcoin because it's such a new asset. Kestutis came up with the term a new paradigm in trading, and I thought that was very accurate because it's completely the opposite of the way people think. So give us, thank you, my love.
I want to have tequila juice by myself.
Thank you.
We can enjoy with everybody.
And then you need to tell us a little bit about Thailand, because I think the goat lady and I want to come visit you someday. So I hope we have an invitation.
Yeah, you've got an invitation. Everybody there has got an invitation. Me and Zezo have been discussing it. Guys, I'll get to the Thailand part, but I'll just say in terms of Thailand, and this is some background as to why why money management is important to me right now. I had been a trader for approximately 6 years already, and by the time I arrived in Thailand by force of circumstance. And it was such a great country for me that I said, well, I might as well continue trading here as opposed to the cold winter of Johannesburg that I just left in South Africa. So I carried on trading here, and at that stage, I'd been trading for approximately 4 years, and it took me another 2 years of really sitting down in this jungle heat alone with nobody around me, with just me and the internet and no distractions. I'd left my 6 monitors back in Johannesburg. I'd left all the data feeds in Johannesburg. I just had a laptop and my platform, which was Awanda at that time. And I still didn't have a money management strategy. I was trading some technical method I thought was great. I'd paid a mentor to teach me about indicators, about stochastics, about RSI, about MACD, and people noticed that I always put Bollinger Bands on my indicators. And this gave me some kind of technical edge, right? But it was just not translating into massive profits. And some of the they talk about your barrier, your psychological barrier as a trader. You might be hitting that $100,000 barrier, and you're like, you just can't get past it. And when you lose big. And I was winning, and then I was losing big, and then I was thinking to myself, something's wrong, because you read everywhere that money management is one of the things you should have in place, yet nobody taught it. At that stage, I couldn't find any resources. What is this money management? It's a tick box on your trader's kind of to-do list that you got to have this, but what is it? And it took me the subsequent 6 years, of trading to really find to make the mistakes for which you pay money in the market, right? To find a system whereby I was eventually consistently profitable. In other words, you're losing small and you're winning big. Now, I've never read The Art of Execution, but I believe that is taught in that book. Some of my clients have reported back to me. I'm certainly going to read it, but I would say the principle for me of money management is that you've got to have some kind of strategy whereby your exploratory trades, your entry into the market has got limited risk. And then as price goes in your direction, you've got to start hitting it hard. When you know that a trend is established, you've got to become aggressive. And that's when you can up the stakes. And that's when you turn your winners into big winners. And those little losers, they've always got to be small. I always say, you got to remorselessly kill your losing trades like you would a little injured animal. If it's going to die, kill it quickly and remorselessly. Don't waste time with a losing trade. Get up. Money management is the key, more so than your technical method. That's my summary of it.
Okay, well, that's a pretty darn good summary. You want to add to that, Kestutis?
I could go through my experience and my conclusions. So I got in 2015. I got into Bitcoin. I started trading. At that time I didn't know what the hell am I doing. But I very quickly realized that the trading itself was not about TA. I've noticed that a lot of strategies, it seemed to be everyone's seem to be saying that they have better strategy than each other, but nobody is really could show that they're consistently profitable, right? So I was looking for who actually can do it, who is consistently profitable, and I have not found that would be a TA expert. You're not a TA expert.
I don't claim to be. I mean, I use it. It's useful. I use things that other people don't use that I probably need to start teaching. But I screw it up all the time too. But I just not tweeted out in the last article. I just, I'm a big believer now of charting my equity and to actually trade using the equity. And the key is you want to really avoid those downturns. And you you have to kill those losers in a hurry, and you have to learn to make the profits. You need to learn to make the, let those winners run. And you're going to miss moves. I mean, I've missed this last move. I missed it completely, but I didn't need it. If on my, and my subscribers, the other thing that I've done is when I started doing the lifetime subscription, I started publishing my actual trades. And it really has helped because I can't cheat. I can't cheat. You know how you cheat yourself a lot of times, but now I can't, because I feel responsible for people that have bought, the membership. So, the trading account, we started it with 2 Bitcoin. And of course, I was very bullish back starting last December. I never thought we'd break 3,000. And so I made the account go on the first move up, the first leg, and that big leg up April 1st. This other one, I should have been really aggressive, but I'm doing all this other stuff. I don't have time. And I'm in a different position than other people. I've already made it. I don't want to, I'm not out to make another 10 million. I've got all that I need. So I'm doing this. I started with the 2 Bitcoin, and now we've taken out 24.5 Bitcoin, and I went back to 2 Bitcoin on May 22nd, and I've done a terrible job of trading. But the count starting at 2 on May 22nd is almost at 6 now, even with the bad trading. And I attribute it all because, I missed the moves, but I didn't have any downturns either. And that's what you can be the best technical trader in the world, but if you screw up on money management once, you're wiped out.
Yeah, and speaking of TA experts, it was very interesting to me how a scientist, right, like a really technical person, could not be profitable in the market. Pretty much ends up being zero-sum game. So what are we dealing with? How come you can brute force it with your intellect, right? So, and of course, if you look, behind it, you see that market is a natural phenomena. It's not man-made phenomena. That's the thing that I learned from Bill Williams. And if it's natural phenomena, then let's look at it how we look at the nature. But let's look at the fractals. Let's look at how market is forming. Let's see what is behind the charts that you don't see on the surface. And then you start going into a little bit more woo-woo stuff. And the smarter you are, the more difficult for you to do that, because your intellect is pretty much preventing you from being comfortable with uncertainty and understand the chaos. Because the smarter you are, the more order you're trying to extract from chaos, right? And that's why you can never win in the market. You can never be profitable if you're playing that game. So you have to be now you have to look into what is actually behind it, and then you get to see that wait a second, there's something going on, that the market is similar to a tree in some way, right? Like the market is similar. Like, let's say we have a fractal forming, and it seems that it does that all the time, but every fractal is a little different, but very similar at the same time. So I compare it to leaves or apples. So if you look at an apple and compare it to another apple, right, they generally the same, but there's always little details. There's always the imperfections that you can't say that they're identical. Same thing with the fractal, same thing with the market. So whenever you observe those, there's a lot of predictive power there, because you know what the market is saying. And I've noticed that you don't even need a single indicator. The less I rely on the indicators and I just go with the price action, the better results I have. Another thing that obviously very important is to cut out all the news, noise, and other experts, right? Because
you have to be a good trader is lonely.
Yeah, exactly. So the more quiet it is, the more distractions I have, the better I do, because my emotional part of me is not getting triggered. I'm relaxed and I'm calm, and I'm just going with the market based on what the market is saying to me, right? And I trust the fractals, and it tends to be very, very type of Zen.
Kestutis, I want you to focus on money management and not the fractals. Fractals is your system. That's your technical. So I don't want to go there because everybody has different tools.
Right. This is not a tool. Actually, this is not a tool. This is nothing to do with TA. That's why I think it's so important, because yes, money and management is something that, you know, like I say, it's not what you know, is who you are. Right. The reason you're successful because it's who you are. It's how your brain is wired, not the stuff that you know.
Hey, and I'm not successful in most parts of my life. I'm a very successful trader. It's there for everyone to see, you know, and you don't. And what is disturbing to a lot of people is it does not take intellect. I'm just an average person. One of the traders I have the most respect for, he's dead now, but it was Ted Warren, and he had no more than a 6th grade education. He wrote a book. It's called How to Make the Stock Market Make Money for You. Very simple for me, but he figured it out. And I know, for example, the hyperwave theory that Tyler Jenks has developed in his 5 pillars for Bitcoin was based on the fundamentals behind it. But I know that he was also a student of Ted Warren. And the guys that have all these models, and you know, they're using calculus, and they've got the robots and all that. Hey, go have at it, you know, because I'm a gunslinger. I'm gonna get it regardless. Okay?
It's a waste of time. I really think it's a waste of time. It's this you know, we engage in some sort of action. There's a belief that, you know, the more brain power, the better the results is going to have. But we see that that's not the case. And then there's a belief, and I see so many people just cracking their brain, trying to figure things out and keep thinking and thinking. No, market is much more simple than that. You don't need to overthink things. If you find yourself overthinking this, you don't understand what's going on. The market is speaking to you every single thing that it is moving. You know, I've not posted my latest video, but it's telling you what it's doing. Like and you can recognize these fractals. Again, each one is different, but you can see what it's doing at what point.
You can measure risk, though, because I
no, it's not even the risk. It's like
I found nothing that's ever been predicted.
It's a pattern. It's a pattern. It's something that
pattern. Yes, there are patterns.
It gives you.
Yes.
You know, and then of course, even the pattern is not always right.
No,
like,
and the pattern that you look at is, I look for different patterns, but I see your pattern and it's reliable. You know, so that you can measure your risk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's about.
That's what it's about, because all it gives you, if you have really deep understanding of fractals and patterns, and you know how the market is moving. And again, this is something that intellectually you can understand, but until you kind of really internalize it, it's difficult to see. It's a different way of thinking. So once you do that, then what you have like what I say, if you have 50% chance to lose a little and win a lot, it's like flipping a coin. You know, you flip a coin and you lose 1%. If you get tails, you get the heads, you win 5%. You would flip that coin every time, wouldn't you? So this is the exact same thing. Is that all you got to do is get to the point where you can, every time you enter the trade, it's going to be a small loss, you know, or a big win. And you're okay with the small losses. That's another thing that people don't get. It is that the more you avoid small losses, the more bigger losses you get. So you got to take these little punches.
And the only way I've been able to control that is by checking it with my equity. Forget the stop loss and magic points. Put my stop loss. My stop loss now is at what point does my equity drop that I'm out of there completely, and I'll just totally wipe out everything because I don't want that down. I've had the ups and the downs, you know, and I see that, but I want my downs to be really limited. I'm sacrificing some of that, but I can't do today what I did to get here.
Because it's fluid. It's a dance.
I mean, it is a dance.
There's a lot of intuition there.
I want to pass this off now to Zezos. Zezos, I want you to briefly tell us your story. Okay, I'm going to tell the story first. He turned me on to Kestutis, and he was, and okay, yeah, I agree. ADD, so, but we're not watching. You guys, I'm not watching any of the screen because we're gonna cover. Just us guys are gonna cover this money management and pass it on to you because it's the best thing you can do. But I want to share Zezo's story because it's such a great story. It really is, and he's so courageous because I would not want to talk about it or share it. I did this. I did the same thing at his age, and I was ashamed of it. And you feel guilty, and you feel like a failure, and you don't want to talk about it. You just don't. But he did, and I really admire him for that. And he got wrecked. He had a hodl. He had 0.02 or any a little tiny amount of Bitcoin, and he ran it up to he actually ran up like 3 and went to Tone Bay's conferences and did other things with cash them out. But then I'll let him tell the story about how he lost it. But the difference between him and me is that he's a young man and I'm an old man, and he's going to wind up and being a super trader because he's hanging around some good mentors. I know that for sure. So I want to do a little plug and a little promotion. The link to subscribe to my newsletter has his affiliate code. Now, he didn't buy a subscription. I gave him a complimentary subscription. So if you do subscribe to my newsletter, and if you do subscribe, you get regular emails. You're going to get a history of the trading account, see every trade that I've made since February 4th. And you will get a 15% discount off the price, and the price is 1/10 of a Bitcoin, which that's why I priced it. I'm not coming down on it because it's worth it. And you'll get a 15% discount off of that, and he'll actually get 10%. So I'm hoping to restore him to where he was, and I'm also invited him down because I want to mentor him a little bit, and he's going to come to Ensenada. He's agreed to be a speaker at the Working Man's Bitcoin Cruise. And I think he's going to be a super contributor, and he's going to be a growing and well-known person in the Bitcoin space. You need to go just be yourself, Zezo, and so people can see you are.
I think, first, thank you for everything, Ugly. Well, I have to say, after we did the video, I got like a message for a few people telling me that it happened the same to them, how it was very difficult for them to deal with. And I think, to make my story short, I was doing quite okay doing my trading, and I knew money management, but there is something that I was lacking, that is discipline. And I thought that I would cheat at least a little bit here, and that began a snowball. Every time that instead of just take a small loss, I felt that I could put myself in a timeout and waiting for the market to go in my direction again, and then I could not have a loss. And teach me a lot, something that I was looking into the workshop that Venzen is doing in Thailand. What give me attention that is how Venzen is able to put not just the money management, but the discipline that he's bringing just for the exercise, for the food and everything. So in my experiences, money manager without a discipline just doesn't work. We need a discipline as well.
Yes,
Okay, Venzen,
comment on this one for a second.
Okay, and then I want Venzen because he mentioned him to talk. Yes, you know what? I'm weak on discipline. I'm really working on that myself. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a few things to say about discipline, but before that, so you knew the principles, right? But somehow it seemed like somebody else besides you took over and made these mistakes, right?
Mm.
Because there is somebody else, right? Because we don't come wired as like one big blob of brain. We have a nested brains, right? We have this reptilian, then and then we have the cortex, which is the no, that's the thing is that the cortex part is not much really needed in trading.
You know that.
No, that's
you know
serious.
that lobotomy. I don't think I qualified even to get a lobotomy.
That's why people who are trying to be a little bit too book smart are not successful. You have to be a little bit balanced out between the
Read Ted Warren. He had a sixth grade education and was highly successful.
yeah, exactly. So basically, like I was saying, is that you gotta be comfortable with taking these little jabs. So then, because you may try to avoid these little jabs and you get knocked out as a result. And it's that little protecting you from that pain.
Yeah. Plus, if you think you know something, you're in trouble.
Right. Like, so because it was nothing to do about knowing. You knew everything. It was protect you, but you were not kind of integrated with that, right? And you just took over and took the action.
I'm losing you guys.
Yeah, me too.
It's very behavior. Unless you change your behavior,
Guys, I'm completely here.
have done now did not be.
You're losing us.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Venzen, how do we discipline ourselves? How do we control that behavior?
Guys, we gotta I want to demystify it a little bit and put some meat on the bones. So when we speak about money management, what exactly do we mean? Because it's still a magnanimous term. It's nebulous. Like, what is it? So I'm going to give this example. If we say, look at the 1 week chart of Bitcoin right now, unfortunately, I can't screen share, but let's imagine a 1 week chart of Bitcoin and we put a stochastic on that chart. So just a simple technical indicator just to give you signals, right? In terms of, I just want to ask the other participants, Zezo and guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I live?
You're fine.
Okay, so I'll carry on. So you take a 1 week chart with a stochastic on there. And then what you do is you make some kind of plan. Now you make a strategy. And I'm going to talk about a money management strategy. Say that you've got 1 Bitcoin and $10,000 in your account, right? In your exchange account. So I'm talking about money management of your trading funds. You've got 1 Bitcoin and $10,000. Now you get a buy signal. So what you do is you shift your allocation of money, right? Bitcoin is money and the US dollar is money. You shift your allocation, which is currently 50-50. You've got $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, that 1 Bitcoin, and I'm working at current prices. You've got 1 Bitcoin, you've got $10,000 in reserve, right, on the exchange. And we're not talking about leverage
We
trade.
lost
We're just
internet,
talking about
but
straight
we're
buy
back.
and hold. Okay, welcome back, guys. I'll just finish my point. Ugly, I'm giving the example, a concrete money management example of a spot market exchange account, and you've got 1 Bitcoin worth $10,000 at the moment, and you've got 10,000 actual dollars in your reserve account, in your trading account. So what you do in terms of your money management strategy is that if you get a buy signal or you've got some kind of indication, whatever it is, that price is advancing. So I use the example of a stochastic indicator giving a buy signal. What you do is you shift your allocation towards Bitcoin because Bitcoin is rising, right? You've got a buy signal for Bitcoin. So in this case, you take some of that 10,000 US dollar and you buy additional Bitcoin. Let's say you buy an additional 0.5 Bitcoin, so another 5,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now you've got 1.5 Bitcoin and you've got $5,000. And when you get a sell signal in your stochastic, you return to 50-50 allocation. In other words, you sell 0.5 of your Bitcoin at whatever price you get the next sell signal higher in the chart. And now you're back at an allocation of, say, 12,000. You've got 1.1 Bitcoin and 12,000 US dollar. You're now using a method whereby you're getting in and out of the market by specific amounts. It's not, I'm going to buy all Bitcoin because I got a buy signal. I'm going to use all of that $10,000 in reserve and buy another Bitcoin. And so I'm going to have 2 Bitcoins and 0 US dollars. That is not a strategy. That is too aggressive. That is in that movie Tropical Thunder, where Ben Stiller tells, or what's his name? Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Captain Osiris, is it? He tells the other soldier, Ben Stiller, he says, never go full retard, never go all the way. That's part of your strategy. Never be 100% aggressive, never be over the top. You slightly shift your allocation on a buy signal, and on a sell signal, you return to market neutral because you're in an uptrend, right? Now the challenge becomes that every time you do that, you'll be getting into a winning trade by a specific amount. You'll say, I'll increase my Bitcoin allocation by half every time. I'll increase it by half, or I'll use half of my dollar equity to buy Bitcoin on every buy signal. And at every sell signal, you return to 50-50 market neutral positioning or waiting. This, for me, is the beginning of a money management strategy, because as long as there is an uptrend and Bitcoin is in a perpetual uptrend, you will find that you're constantly increasing your fund.
Oh, we lost him.
We lost Venzen.
We lost him.
Yeah.
The-
That was a really
Okay,
nice.
I'll take over for a little bit till he comes back. Venzen is really outlining a lot. If you guys look at what's happened to me the last few weeks, that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been arbing back and forth. I haven't hit any home runs, but my equity is slowly increasing. I actually wrote about a really ugly bad trade that I did, but it's because my equity didn't drop to a critical point. I hung with it. Okay, you back then, Jim?
People want to hear, understand.
Are you back? We lost you for a minute. Are you there? Are you there? Venzen, are you there?
I'm back, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep. Now I can hear
Yes.
perfect.
Okay, I'll speak until you can
I'm
come
here.
back on. Then we see you, but
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Venzen. We're waiting. We can hear you.
Yep. Can hear really good. I think he's froze.
Okay, well, I'll take up the space while. Okay, I'll take up the space because he was right on exactly. If you read, he had a lot of grammatical errors in that last newsletter I sent out, but hey, I think you got the point. And I made a bad trade. I mean, I should have been more patient, and I just wanted to do something, and I did it. And it went against, if that was a loan trade, I would have gotten out a lot faster. But I was in, it only was dropping with that one trade. And so I paid to see the 9. And of course, it reversed, and I came out of it and made something. And that's what he's kind of teaching you exactly what if you see the equity move of this last few days, that's exactly what Venzen was talking about. And the money management strategy, the only way I've been able to control it is to not look at the world, not look at the charts, not look at the technical, but look at my equity. And I'm treating that equity in the lifetime Bitcoin membership as that's it. I'm not trading anywhere else. I'm not doing anything but that. And I don't have the time really to focus on it because I'm doing so many other things. Are you back, Venzen? I've been filling in for you, but if you're back, resume. We see you, but we don't hear you.
I think it froze again.
Okay. Yeah, there he is. You there, Venzen? Take over.
Okay, guys, can you hear me? Oh,
Go for it, Venzen.
It's not working.
Oh, yeah.
We hear you.
Oh, you see me? Okay, but just a minute.
Yep.
How about that? Is there
Yes.
sound now? Okay.
Yes.
That's good.
Everybody interested in that? What I'm saying? Is it making
Yeah.
sense?
Absolutely. I
So,
was just talking, I was filling
I
in
was
for you.
talking about a
And
basic
I actually
strategy
wrote my life.
of
Okay. Yeah, you're on
allocation
topic.
weighting. If you get whatever your reason for making the shift, when you do make a shift, you simply have a set amount. Yeah.
Separate amount. I can hear you.
Okay, guys, I don't know what the quality is coming from my side because for what I'm receiving from you is quite stuttery, jittery, but no problem. I'll carry on. If I do break up, let me know. So we're saying regardless of the technical method,
Oh,
We lost.
lost him.
Connection. So what Venzen is talking about is specific, a principle of money management, and is being responsible and not being aggressive, and putting in appropriate amount of your position. So the principles are great. I mean, the Art of Execution book teaches you a lot about these principles. And but one thing is to actually know the principle, and another thing is actually applying the principle.
Yep.
And
I know.
yeah, and Zezo, of course, like you see, like you're looking at this mistake and thinking that it's a disaster. No, it's actually a blessing, because it forcing you, now your brain is changing, it's rewiring, right? And you are integrating that emotional part of you with your intellectual part of you, because like people say discipline, right? What is a discipline? Discipline is having it to fight yourself.
Yeah.
And if you keep fighting yourself, at some point it's going to slip, right? So you can't fight yourself. You have to really align yourself with your emotional part. And we all humans, we all have these shadows, things that there's a behaviors that we don't even know that we're doing, right? So we're not aware of these. So these types of things that are actually what makes you, whether you're successful or not, because that's what really is controlling you. You can be super smart, but if you're not integrated emotionally and intellectually together, and done some inner work on yourself, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very stressful. The training is not going to be enjoyable experience, and any success that you do get can be jeopardized with one big huge mistake, which usually makes no sense, but somehow you did it. You know?
Venzen?
Okay, Venzen, are you back? Venzen, we see you. Can you speak? Can we hear you?
Guys, I'm back. Okay. I'm busy.
Okay, go for it.
Closing every app I can find to try and minimize my bandwidth. It's busy raining, and I'm in the far south of Thailand, and I think the internet is not as it normally would be. So I've repeated the point. Okay, thank you. Okay. I've repeated the many times that regardless of your technical, you're assuming that the weekly chart is in a perpetual uptrend. So you buy, you increase allocation on the buy signals, and you go to market neutral on the sell signals. So, for example, you get a buy signal in the stochastic, and your strategy is to increase allocation by half. I'm talking about allocation of Bitcoin versus US dollar. You've got a default position of 50-50. And when you get a buy signal, you increase your Bitcoin holding by, you take half of your dollar amount and increase your bit. You're buying on a buy signal, you increase allocation to Bitcoin, and then on a sell signal, you're coming back to market neutral. Now, what that does, if you go and research it in the chart for yourself, any of the viewers can do that, you find that you're constantly increasing your holding because you're only acting on buy and sell signals. You're never going by emotion, what Kestutis is talking about. You're never following your gut feeling, right? You're never going with your psychology and your feeling, because your psychology and your feeling is troubled waters. You don't know what's there that's busy driving you subconsciously. You cannot listen to those things. That's losing thousands and millions of dollars. That's what I've learned. Do not follow your gut feeling. Do not follow your emotion. Use a technical indicator. Find some kind of way that you're going to be making decisions. And then when you make that decision, now you need a strategy. I'm going to increase my allocation, and then I'm going to return to market neutral. And anybody who plots that out will find that you're constantly increasing your equity, what Ugly was talking about. You're concerned about what's your equity doing. It must always be increasing. So if you find yourself losing, there's something wrong with strategies, what the money management is. So I think I've laid down for us there as a sort of a framework of a basic money management strategy that we can now bounce off of, because that's just for buy and hold, right? That's just for spot market trades. You want to buy low and sell high. Of course, when we get to leverage and we start looking at the market in the other direction of also shorting, and there's leverage included, now you need a more complex money management strategy. But up to this point of a spot market, I think we've got a foundation there to refer to and talk about, because most people will not know what money management is. And I think that's a concrete example. What do you guys think?
I'm going to contribute a different perspective, because I just had it happen to me in my personal life in more ways than one. And that is, I had a very good friend that has had some tremendous personal problems, and he simply is unable to address them. And that's the way most traders are. And what happens is he now has become a drama queen. Nobody wants to be around him because his life is just full of drama. And if you don't have good money management techniques, you may have caught this move and made millions from a little bit. But if you didn't, if you did that, you're most likely going to give it all back. If you implement money management, you are not going to have those huge swings that maybe you've had in the past, because that's what gets you in trouble when you have that. I've always said it's very easy to double your funds trading Bitcoin, even 2 or 3 times, but then it goes to your head and you wind up losing it all. The difficulty with success is not being successful, but it's being successful consistently. And so that's what we're working on. And with as little downturn as possible. And, I've come to value that because, I now have a beautiful wife and children that, what I have, I want to pass on to them. And so my values have changed from what they were before I had them. Not in all parts of my life, not in every part, because I still have, lots of problems that I've worked on, but that discipline is something that I can acquire more easily in trading than I can in a lot of other parts of my life. So discipline is really important, and how do we implement it? It's a challenge. So Zezo, I want you to elaborate on your story, and then I'm going to propose a possible solution, and that's when we're going to talk with Victor, because Victor and I have been working on something we think will help everyone in their personal trading. But finish your story with us, please.
So when I begin to trade Bitcoin and I begin to trade altcoins, the thing was hard for me because it's an industry that you're going to hear all the time. FOMO, Lambo, and 10X. And you're right, to make Bitcoin is not the hard part, it's to keep it. Because you can have like a big gains. And when I began to have these gains and arrive in the point that the market just went against me, instead to follow the market and take my loss, that was small in the time, I thought, no, I can just time out and the market gonna go back to my direction. So I had the money management, but I didn't have the discipline. And when the market began to go against and against me, I tried to cheat more and more. So I just add Bitcoin to my wallet for my margin. And when I lost, it was extreme painful because it's not about your trade, it's your personality. You see why I am in that situation, why I put myself in a situation, and I have to face a lot of things that I didn't want to face in myself. Instead to blame the market, I had to see what on me, what was the problem myself. And it was really difficult because it destroys you in every specific point. I saw a video of the Venzen and he talked about that, how this affected your life in every point. When you're in a loser trade, if you don't kill that right away, that's gonna damage your relationship with people. You're gonna damage the relationship you have with yourself and your future tradings. And as I was telling them, you're cutting out. I was looking into your workshop. One of the great things about is how you focus in discipline through exercise, fasting, how you combine all of this, because money management without discipline just doesn't work. It will not work because you're always going to cheat it. You're always going to think that time you can get away with the thing. And man, you can get away once or twice, but it's going to come to you. It's going to come hard. And when I lost everything, first reaction, I was angry with the market. Like manipulation is the exchange. So slowly, I have to face like, oh shit, why everybody's happy, not me? and I have to face that.
Blame everybody but Zezos, right?
Yeah, so I totally agree, Zezo. You know, one thing is knowing the money management principles, and there's a different thing to actually exercising those and just being something that you do. And it's a huge difference. That's why I think there's a lot more emphasis supposed to be put on the person, behavior in itself and the psychology, and less on the technical side. And I think that would lead to better results.
But I think when we have a TA, sounds for me like the TA, you don't look at yourself, you look to the market. When it comes to money management, you have to look to yourself. And many people don't want to look for themselves.
Absolutely.
They don't understand themselves. So look TA is easy because there's something else there that's not me. So
yeah,
it's a personal trait.
Yeah, it's definitely makes you grow. I mean, you can be immature and you know, full of traumas and wounds and be a good trader. It's just not going to happen. There's the inner work needs to happen first.
Can I quickly jump in, guys?
Yep.
Can I quickly jump in? Yeah. Can I quickly add?
Yeah,
There's
go ahead.
work that needs to
Go ahead.
be done. And Kestutis is making a good point, and it's adding to what Zezo is saying. Zezo is making that. Sorry, guys, I got construction in the background. I can't stop that, and I can't diminish the sound. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay.
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So all of this focus on tops and bottoms and technical levels and technical analysis, which this space is full of, and there's some really great guys out there. I rate Tyler in there. I rate Tone in there. There's some young guys coming up with skills, with technical skills. But as Kestutis is saying, and Zezo are both, they're both saying, this focus on technical analysis is a logical fallacy, because before you've got maturity and discipline and patience, and which translates into a money management strategy, all of that stuff is not going to help you. So if you've got a money management strategy and you're saying, when I get a buy signal, I increase my allocation. When I get a sell signal, I go to market neutral during an uptrend, right? It doesn't matter where Bitcoin is going to go to. It doesn't matter where the top is. It doesn't matter where the bottom is. You don't care about that. You're acting on the signal, right? And when the signal happens, you're not, everyone is saying, oh, the bottom is in. The bottom is in. It doesn't matter if the bottom is in. It's irrelevant. If everyone agrees, maybe you feel so bullish and so certain that this is your time when you're going to make your killing in the market, and you over allocate, and then the bottom wasn't in, or the market does something you did not expect, it's going to wipe you out. This is what we all keep saying. An error in money management is going to take you out of the market, and then you can't play, right? And then you're depressed, and then I've suffered those same things. I've lost everything I had when I was betting against the Dow in 2012. I lost everything I had. And those kind of experiences you need as a trader. It's going to happen to you. So whether you lose millions or you lose the $1,000 you've been saving up, when you lose everything, you learn these hard lessons, and the only way to learn them is to lose everything. But you got to be diligent and work out your salvation the way the Buddha says. Be diligent and work out your salvation and make a money management strategy. That is the conclusion of this lesson of losing everything. You've got to say, what am I doing wrong? And what strategy am I going to follow from here on? And the hardest part is to confront yourself and to learn that hard lesson, that it doesn't matter what I think or feel, what my ego says, what any of that matters. None of that matters. All that matters is, what is my strategy? And then, then we get into some other things. I don't want to start a new discussion. I just wanted to add to what Kestutis and Zezo are saying. Right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I say, if you, once you get that experience, I mean, everyone could speak to you and everyone could actually explain to you in the best possible ways. But until you experience, you have not actually learned anything. So I totally agree with Venzen that these mistakes, they like I call them initiations, right? So it's almost like you're a white belt before you get that. Now you're moving along. Now you're getting your yellow belt. Now you can progress. You know.
Okay, we can talk about that sometime with my guy laughing in the background, Eddie, because he's had his little experiences. But now I'm going to the person that we've ignored, okay? And this is a special treat. And we're going to talk to Victor Villicaña. And
Yeah, my last name
I
is
want to.
it's a pain.
Yes. Well, I saved you for last, and I haven't.
Well, it can't be
I have
worth the line.
deliberately ignored you because I'm saving you for last. Because there's been the people that
The best is for last. So.
yeah, the best is at the last, and I shared what we've been doing with you with some of the people that I really respect in the markets. And let me tell the story, and then I'm going to pass it on to Victor. And incidentally, Victor spells his name with the hard B in Spanish, so it's like the Bitcoin B. And he's going to have a key that you can probably buy from him. And so if you want the Bitcoin B on your keyboard, I think he'll be able to sell it to you. But here's what happened. Victor got a hold of me, been a long-time follower, and he instantly grasped on what we were doing, what I was teaching. And so I started sharing things with him. I said, I've tried to, I've been familiar with the sequential system in the market because that's what measures the world. And I said, and Victor's kind of a software engineer. And I said, look, Victor, I've brought this up to Tone, and he didn't get it. He said, no, you can't be that way. And then he started thinking about, well, let me talk with you about time. And so I said, look, we need to just do this. And that is the sequential system I learned way back when under Larry Williams. It was a much more primitive form than it is now. But it is a legitimate tool. But it measures the world. It measures what everybody else is looking at, okay? And we're hodlers, okay? And I said, we need to be able to not measure. We don't care what the world is doing. The only thing that's important, what are we doing? What is our equity? Let's put the sequential system into our own equity. And the thing that I love about BitMEX is they have this box. It's an equity box. It tells you exactly where you're at, and you can see the thing. And I, in my own way, because I don't have to look at a chart. I can feel the market. I mean, there's a sense that you get. But I said, we need to quantify this so that when I see my peak, when I get a 9, that's when I need to be looking to exit. I said, can we somehow build an app so that my equity can be measured with the 1 through 9 on the BitMEX chart? And he says, wow. And he started thinking, and he's been working on it. So now you get the 4, man. You showed me some of the stuff that you're doing. It's still in a very, beginning stage. I don't know, in the technical, I call that beta or alpha form, but he's getting it. And Victor's got a full-time job. He manages hundreds of people. He's a full-time engineer in a major company in Mexico, but he's devoted to this, and he's got it going. And I just gave him the idea, and he's writing it, and I want him to get it completed. And yeah, we will be selling it. But I told him, look, I want it just for me, but I want you to make a business. I want people around me to be successful. That's the whole thing. I got everything I need. I got everything I want. Okay. And all I can do is pass on the little bit of knowledge that I have. I can't code. Okay. But Victor can, and he started doing this. So Victor, it's yours. Tell us about what you've been doing. I'm so excited. I can't wait. So you download it on my laptop, and I can start trying it out.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Ugly, for having me, first of all, and hi to everyone. Well, my name is Victor, and I've been following Ugly for a long time now. I've been reading all the Medium articles. I just like the way he thinks, and then I think like around February or March, when he started the Bitcoin House, he sent a message. I'm going to I'm opening the Bitcoin House, and I did know he lives in Mexico, but I didn't know he was very near to me. I'm in Tijuana, and here's in Ensenada. It's like an hour of driving. So I immediately at the moment decided to go, because I wanted to know him in person, because I admire, because of his writing. So I went there with my wife. We met Eunice, and we had a great time together. So um, I'm very pleased to have met Ollie. So that's a start. So right now, I'm well. When I was first talking with Ugly, I said, look, I'm a little bit rusty at coding, because my engineering is not exactly in software, but I am a mechatronic engineer. So one of the parts of my engineering is on coding. So, but it's not what I'm working at right now. So I start to studying again, and then in a couple of weeks after that meeting, start coding in Python. I Before that, I haven't used Python. I use other languages for different kind of machine controlling, and other languages, Java and low-level languages, microcontrollers and other stuff. But I upgrade myself and learn Python. It's like learning a little different language, but once you learn one language, it's a little easier to learn another one. So once I was up and running in Python, I start coding. So right now I'm about around 500 lines of code, or so. But I think I have like a 30% of the app. uh, of course, the idea is to install the app on the alpha release on the Ugly's laptop, so he could try it for a couple of weeks and start getting feedback, and then I well, just keep working, working to get a better to people. To that I agree with Ugly in a lot of things, because the everybody is looking at the nine, at daily nine, the weekly nine. Everybody is looking. Everybody had the sequential, and I told them, I when I start to following town first, I saw the sequential, and I decided I went to code this. I can't code this, so I coded my own sequential, my own version on TradingView, and then uh, I did a lot of other indicators on my own. But for example, the sequential part is already done, and with the equity. But it has been a little pain with the BitMEX data, because they don't have all the data I will want to, but I need to reconstruct a history of the trade. So I've been having a little pain with this, but I think we are going in a good direction. So I don't know if you want to go a little deeper to show something on the screen, or I don't know, or if you had
Yes,
questions.
yes, I do. Can you show me what you showed me on the screen today? This is just a different approach, and again, I talked to Victor about it, and he immediately recognized it, and it's just applying. It's a tool that will be unique for you. In other words, it's a chart of you. It's not going to be a chart of the market. It's going to be a chart of you.
Yeah, I think what you guys doing are inventing. I mean, this never been done before. This is pretty much synthesizing a brand new idea and using sequentials on your own equity.
Yes, and that's what you came up with. It's a new dynamic or a new
Paradigm.
A new paradigm
It's-
in trading.
It's moving from the out there in the charts and TA and moving onto yourself.
And we're
It's
not,
measuring
and
your
we're
own
not,
behavior.
we're not diminishing the TA. We're not diminishing what you got to look what's going out there. But the only reality is what effect it has on you, and that's what you have to focus on. Because it doesn't matter what's going on out there. It only matters what's going on with you. It only matters what's going on with your family.
Yeah.
You know what? I've screwed up some things with my marriage and my family. You talk about blowing equity. I've done it.
I can't wait what you guys going to come up with. You know, I mean, this is going to be very fascinating to watch it work, you know, and see how that unfolds. That would just prove to me that the universe has a pulse, it has a code. You know, that would be just additional proof, because you're just taking a sequential system, which is numerology in essence, and you're applying it to your own behavior. So you're saying that I'm the part of the universe, and my behavior is can be sort of like you can get a feel about my behavior because I'm just a part of the whole thing, and the way I dance is the way the universe dance. Like that's, to me, that's like, if that works out, that's just additional proof to me that you just need to understand the code of the universe, and it's going to be on your side.
I
It's
really
a
like
different
that.
way of thinking, and like I say, I didn't come up with this terminology.
I really like that.
Yeah, I didn't come
I
up
like
with the
that because-
terminology. Kestutis did. He said this. It's a new paradigm of trading, and I knew that you would, Venzen, because you know I haven't studied but I have a feel for what you're doing. I know you get it, and so that's why you say when I did this program, I said, yeah, Venzen would be really good because I knew that you'd pick up on what. It's a different kind of tool. It's going to be a subjective tool and not an objective one.
Yeah. Why I like that,
Yeah.
you know that I
I
like
re-
it because of my previous work. Sorry to interrupt you. I'll just quickly make the point that market behavior, and especially when we apply technical analysis to market behavior, is proof that we are all swimming in the same consciousness, because there is a dance, there is form, there are repeating forms. Kestutis was just talking about fractals. Fractals is one aspect, because then we're looking from the large to the small time frames. You see that there's similarity, but we also see an overall similarity between all indicators, right? Some more than others. But that the sequential system works, that a stochastic works, that the moving averages talk to us, that RSI is speaking the truth in terms of divergences. All these things are proof that there is an underlying form and structure, and it is, in the case of the market, it is human psychology driving that, right? If you apply technical analysis to sunspot cycles or to tidal wave patterns, again, there is form and structure, and it's repeating, right? It's only that we should see through the chaos and find the pattern. These are the
We
things.
need a measure. We need a measure of what we do, not what the world is doing or what the market is doing. We need a measure of what we do, or what we are. That's what that's what I think this will offer.
Yeah.
And
So okay, you go ahead.
Sorry, Venzen. Yeah, no, I just want to add to it because you said, you know, the psychology is what drives the markets. And I would like to add to it and say that it's even deeper, that psychology is subject to a much stronger forces, and those forces are subject to even deeper forces. And that is why that psychology, that behavior, that mass behavior, that the way it comes out not intrinsically from the human being, but it comes out from much deeper, like you said, the consciousness, the universe. It has this continuous effort in trying to get a balance between chaos and order, and it dances,
It dances. And
Victor,
if
can
I
you
can bring
share
this
some?
to
Okay.
its logical conclusion, what we're saying is that yes, there is form and there's structure and there's repeating pattern. And Ugly, you're saying let's find a way of measuring that, right? So that it informs our decisions in the market. And this is where the money management comes in, because you can have that method, but if you don't have a structured way in which you're going to respond, what amount you're going to risk, what loss you're going to take, how far you're going to let it win. If you don't have that formularized, if you don't have that structured and written on a small paper in front of you in 5 bullet points, then even that measure can lead to loss. You've got to marry the measure, the method, and the money management, and there is the key. It's got to be both. That's my experience. I think all of you agree.
Victor, can you share a little bit of where you're at now on this? The way I'm set this up, I mean, it was my vision, and Victor picked up on it. But you know what? I want him to become independent and a successful. He's going to be big in the Bitcoin. I'm going to pass on. I hope I have 10 or 15 years left. I may not just. You know what? I sell lifetime subscriptions. If I live 15 years, you get a bargain. If I die tomorrow, you just got screwed. But he's got a start on this, and it's going to be his business, and he's going to give the support on it, and it's going to take a lot of development. But I just want to encourage him. So, Victor, do you want to show us what you've got so far and where we're going? Because I want this thing to be fully developed by the cruise, and I hope you can make it to the cruise. You got the passage. I'll pay your expenses. You're doing a wonderful work, and I want to see people be successful in their own right. That's my vision. I've already done my thing. I don't need anything more. Okay, tell us what you done. Show us what you get done. If you can share a screen, let's go from there.
Okay, guys, you see my screen?
It's blinking.
Yeah,
it's blinking.
You can see
Okay,
it, but it's blinking.
all right. Oh,
all right.
I don't know how to stop this. I'm a newbie on the broadcasting. Let's see.
We're really new too. We got to move over to Zoom, but we're on this YouTube thing now. So, but we're getting better. Okay, you should have seen our first one.
It seems to be okay now.
Guys, I think we can solve this. If Ugly on your side, if you mute the sound on your side, Ugly, I think it's going to stay on Victor's screen.
Okay, I think I have 2 monitors. So the problem was that I had the cursor on the left monitor, and so that's the problem. Sorry, guys. Okay, this is an example of well, when I start develop this, one of my first problems was that how do you what equity do you measure? The contract you are trading, your individual exit, your whole position exit, so your time equity. So there's a lot of different concepts you could measure with this tool. So I realized that okay, I don't know what the people might find useful, so I start to converge to these 3 types of measurement of your equity. So on the upside of the screen here, we see the price. It's just a simulated price of Bitcoin. So you could see the candle. So that's the price. So look at the chart that says time 1 hour. So it represents 10 hours of price, the same 10 hours of the chart of the above chart. And in the lower part we see the position, because you need to know the position to graph the equity. And though these spikes, the it's they are getting lower and lower, uh, um, related with with the size of your position. As you can see, if your position goes lower and lower to zero, the spikes are lower, because you have less exposure. So this is one method we are working on, the time. So it's a synchronous method. You have 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, and so on. You could change the periods to 4 hours, 12 hours, a day, a week. This is more like the ugly talk to me, but I found useful on my test that this is another example. This is a realized P&L, profit and loss. So you each of these these are my, actually with my own trading account. So this is my equity here. So those are small trades that I made to test the application. So these are, I start with zero equity, because that's another problem. You don't want to chart your equity just like that, because if you withdraw to your huddle, that going to um, give you a false signal, because it represents a, a downturn, but it's not a downturn. It's a withdrawal. So you need to discard the withdrawals and the deposits. So that's it. You start with zero, not with your. If you have 2 Bitcoin on your equity, that's okay, but you start with zero, because the deposit doesn't count in your trade. So the first
Thank
trade you
you.
do, this is for example 4 trades, 4 exits I took. I had a position of this is a position of mil $1,000. So I did a 4-time trim. So I exit 250, and then another 250, and another 250 to zero. So you could see the equity. It's a spike. The look at the price and look at the realized P&L. It doesn't look the same. It's different. So that's
Right.
the whole concept that ugly is telling. And this is the last method I found useful. Also, this method is asynchronous. So in this method, if you don't trade for a long time, you will get this, a lot of doji style candles, because you are not closing any, and you're not realizing any P&L. So just during 1 hour, this hour, your equity goes high, then low, and close at the same level. So you will gonna get a lot of this. And this could change the sequential, because the sequential doesn't take into consideration the equal part. Remember, in the sequential, you combine this candle to the previous fourth candle. So, for example, if you compare this to this and then to this, so there's a problem there. If you have 5 equal prices, then the sequence will start getting you a red one, and then a red green, and then a red brown, and then a red green, and so on. So I found this a little, maybe this is not so helpful, but it's gonna be an option on the application. That my idea is to have the three of these options. That I found more useful, this, the realized P&L. Every time you partially exit a trade, it's gonna generate a candle. If you don't trade, or you don't exit your position, don't generate a candle. And this is a round trip. So from zero, suppose you had 4 buys, and then for sales, then but those are just round trips from 0 to 0, and those 8 moves, 4 buys and 4 sales, just gonna generate one candle. This candle. This is the combined profit of those 4 candle and those 10 hours. So I don't know if you guys have some doubts or questions. Please let me
I
know.
have comments, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So first of all, that what I notice is that I see this as perhaps a behavior modification tool, because what's going to happen? You will look at these charts, and if you don't look at the main charts and you look at your own charts, the ones that kind of measure the way how you're doing, you might end up, let's say, waiting for that 9 and being longer in your trade, and riding that good trade for longer than you would do otherwise, right? So it's like a accountability tool on your own trading, and the patterns that is going to be drawing is going to show you exactly of what you're doing wrong, and then you're just going to try to get the right patterns to get maximum profit, and that will tailor your decisions in your trading.
I want to step in. Okay. You have to really, for me, you have to kiss. You got to keep it simple and stupid. Trading is dynamic. And so how I've been able to use the Bitcoin equity box, all I really care about is my total equity, because that's me. I don't care about the individual, because there might be an arbitrage. You're not going to know what I'm doing or attempting to do, and I probably don't know what I'm doing. But what I want is that equity box, that total equity, because when I see that, then I can make the move. It's my total of what I am doing. I don't need to know just Bitcoin or this particular trade. And maybe the example is the bad trade that I made. I mean, I despise Bitcoin Cash, and yet I bought Bitcoin Cash today because I saw it on a 9. I said, this is getting ridiculous, and this thing's got to go. And you know what? I suffered through a half of Bitcoin adversity, which I would not have done if it was an individual trade. I'd have exited, but I was in enough other things. I knew, okay, this is going to work out eventually, and it did. And I wound up making something, got back to where I wanted to be. To me, I want the measure of me, not the market.
Yeah.
And so I don't care about my individual trades. I want to measure my total. It's an equity measure.
Right. Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Zezo, let me ask you a question. If you were to see this type of chart that what Victor is making, and if you have seen, when you were in your trade, if you've seen your equity going down significantly, would that not change your decision?
Oh yeah, that would be
seeing that graph going down.
Seeing that graph
would make you change your mind.
Right. That's where you can get the discount, because you it's not imaginary anymore.
Exactly. It's not something. Now you can see the impact on the decision that you
because
made.
You're trading. It's all imaginary money when you're trading. Nothing's realized yet. But the equity is you. It's you. That's the reality, and you have to. That's what we have to deal with who we are.
Yeah. And how many times we actually saw our equity, and it kind of felt like intuitively whoa, that's pretty good, that's pretty high. Maybe I should get off at this, but we never do that. How many times?
But if you got a 9 on your own equity, you know what? It's time to trim. Let's trim if you don't want to get out completely in reverse.
Yeah.
There's not a 10, right?
Okay, Yeah, this is the first chart I show, the hourly chart. This is the exactly what Ugly want. The whole equity. I also gonna allow the option of course, for an individual contract. For example, if you just using the perpetual, is the perpetual, or if you have the combined equity. But that is the timing. For me, I found very useful the realized P&L, because it's the same information, just it's filtered. That's it. This the realized P&L and the hourly chart or the time chart of your equity is the same. It's just filter, eliminating the doji candles. But remember, in when you are in a doji candle of your equity during that hour, you are going to see your equity not like a doji until it closed the hour. During the hour, you are going to see not a doji. You are going to see that your equity is going higher and higher, or lower, and then when the hour closes, then become an a doji. So I don't know if I explain myself.
Yeah, you did. I want to explain a little technical tool that I've started to use in a little bit of, particularly when these markets have been so volatile. And that is when I see something, I was kind of in a bad way, and I was looking to get out, and we got it because I had sold short, and of course you don't want to be selling short. You get in big trouble. We just used the mechanisms there, and I got tremendous fills because people were getting wrecked. And of course, then when people are getting wrecked, then it's fine to use that market order, because you're going to wind up, getting some pretty deep. You're not going to get hurt on your fills. And so that's one thing that you don't want to use it if you're getting wrecked the wrong way, and you want to stop in rather than getting wrecked. But when other people are getting wrecked, and for example, I just wanted to get out of a bad trade, and I got out really decently because we got a sell off, but I didn't price. I had some prices. Some got filled, some didn't, but I just went in at the market, and I think that's what this tool can also help you with. I just think that it's not a measure of the market. It's a measure of yourself. And the only thing that counts is your own equity. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. The bottom line, what's in your bank account?
Yeah,
what's in your hodl?
I really think this is genius. I mean, this is going to be such a good accountability tool, and keeping you accountable. I really look
publishing my trading has I haven't had any downturns since I published. I haven't had the upturns I should have had, but you know what? That's really not. I'm not trying to teach that. I'm trying to teach successful trading without those, those gut wrenching downturns. And I don't know if I can accomplish it.
Yeah. It's a lot to do with really much deeper things. It's like understanding that you have to surrender to the market. Like you got to do what the market wants to do. And the moment you try to fight that, the moment you try to use your will upon what's natural, what's doing its own dance, then it kind of ends. And I really think that this tool is going to kind of show you when you're doing that.
Hey, we got a good question here. I haven't looked at them all, but we have Intin Gomez says, I can't stop shorting this rally. What happens in my brain? Anybody want to answer that one? That's a good question.
Yeah, this is like what I just said. The reason is because you're not going with the market, you're going against it, right? And perhaps there's you're looking at the indicators that's showing that, whoa, that's like a parabolic move after parabolic move, that it feels like it has to retreat, right? It does feel like that on the emotional level, but it's not doing that, right? And it just keeps drawing a nice a fractal, this H fractal after another H fractal, and I don't question it. I just get in. Oh, it seems like oversold, or in this area, and this 9 is nearing buy, but the pattern looks very bullish to me, and just keep drawing these fractals, and I'll get in on each fractal, and and just keep following the market, as opposed to listening to your opinion. Look what the market is doing. It's that's as much as I could explain. But yeah, you got to get a feel for it, and
Also,
again,
I would
what
add
Zezo was
that
saying, right?
in case of,
There's
go on.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I think there's a delay between us because I spoke like a few
You're on,
seconds ago.
Venzen.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm saying is, adding to Kestutis is saying, you've got to develop a feel for it. There's also a case to be made for that you've got to have rules in place. And one of the maxims of the market, of trade, is that trend is your friend, right? Why do we say that? Because if you've got a rule in your trading method or your trading discipline to say that I will always trade in the direction of trend, then when there is an uptrend going, you know that if you apply your money management and your trading strategy to that, you're always going to be going in the long direction or buying when the trend is up. And why would you want to be calling tops and bottoms? Because there's another maxim in the market that says don't call tops and bottoms, right? When Tone is calling a 9 on the sequential, or when you guys know sequential, it doesn't mean it's an opportunity to sell. It's an opportunity to go short during an uptrend. It just means it's a time to take profit, and then you wait for your next opportunity to go long. You trade in the direction of trend. I find I've been subject to that kind of thinking when I was a younger trader, and I notice a lot of people into that. They're like, okay, this is far enough. I'm going the other direction. It's like you're doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. You're doing exactly the opposite of what you should be doing. Any experienced trader will tell you, you got to go in the direction of trend. And when you get sell signals, right, just have a look at a stochastic at whatever time frame you're trading. If you're getting sell signals at the biggest time frame that there is a stochastic for, okay, now you can go ahead and short, because it means the direction of trend is probably down. But while a long-term stochastic is pointing up, or while you're seeing that price is just advancing, that's not the time to go short. You go short when you start noticing that it's only going down now, right?
Yeah. Then I really like your saying is that you don't try to predict the rain when the clouds are clear, right? You whenever you see a little dribble, then you go in, right? Then you say it might be raining, right? So it's such a simple thing to do that, and I really think a lot of times these indicators are showing like overbought, and oversold, and I don't really think that there is such thing. I think that it does help you in few occasions, but in a trending market, there's so many times we've been overbought, oversold, and we kept on going, right? So
and this is Bitcoin. This is a new asset. And we have to remember, we are in a tsunami of fiat, and what we're witnessing is something that's what has baffled a lot of analysts, is that we just have to keep that in mind, that and Bitcoin has a lot of enemies too, and they are going to try and shut it down. They won't be able to shut down Bitcoin, but they can shut down the players, and that will have an effect. So, when Tyler Jenks came out with that $1,000 or $10 million I thoroughly agree. You have to be mentally prepared for both scenarios. You know what? If we're going to 10 million Bitcoin, the moves like we've had are going to be a Sunday school picnic. We can't, and so you just cannot be dogmatic in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Guys, look, I think this was a great show, and it was I've been preaching this money management, and I really want to take it to a new level. And the new level is that money management is personal. It's subjective. It's not objective. We want to develop a tool, a sequential tool to measure your own. In other words, if we develop this tool, your sequential 9 is not going to be the same as mine. Everybody's going to have different 9s. Everybody's going to have a different measure. And that's the significance of this. This is the new paradigm, as Kestutis. I thought that was great. He called it a new paradigm. That's what it is. And it's kind of deep, but it's really simple. And that's where I want to go with it. But look, I'm the ugly old goat. We've gone on for 2 hours. We have to call it a day. And if you're on my show, you have to make a fool of yourself.
Why do we have to call it a day though?
What? Oh, TA statistics work for the market. Individual statistics will work for AI. Comments?
And then there's somebody asking, are we still in the bull trap?
Okay.
I mean, are we still in the bull trap?
I don't know where the bull trap is. So.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I don't know where the market's going. I never have claimed. I'm the guy that says, I don't know. If you ask me where the market's going, you haven't read my work. I trade on the basis I have no clue. And that's what, I attribute my success. When I learned that I don't know where the market's going, I started being successful.
Yeah. The problem with the bull trap and all these different things, it was like, is it the bull trap? Is it the bottom? Is it things like, because that's like you trying to predict the thing. And you implicitly saying that, hey, I'm relying on forecast. That's the question. Are we still in the bull trap? You say like, hey, can you forecast for me? No, that's not how the trading works. It's not about the forecast, not trying to predict the future. You see where the market is going. That's what you're doing.
Charts tell you a history. Charts do not tell you the future. It's a history. It's where the market's been. Now you can read a chart and you can identify patterns and you can find, situations where, low risk. Right now, I mean, with the volatility we have, there's a lot of risk in the market. I didn't think there was any risk at the market when it was at 3,500, and I was fully long and was taking huge. I don't have hardly any positions on and don't really care to.
Yeah, and in general, in general, if we do know something about Bitcoin, that is very, very bullish asset, right? I mean, the appreciation, and the of price. We haven't had this asset before, right?
Dynamics have
so
changed.
If we know this is true,
the dynamics have changed. We got a big contango now, but hey, when we were at our peak, we were at like a $2,000 contango, and we're about 500 or 600 now. But it's just crazy. The arbitrage is buying on the exchanges and selling on the futures, or even selling on the huge arbitrage opportunity right now. But it's all arbitrage.
Yeah, we have such a strong lift up right now that to think that trend is going to change, and I'm talking about the a little bit bigger global trend, trend. Is it why you worry? Like if it drops to 5,000, just buy some more because you know where the wind is blowing, right? So just don't worry. Like we are going up with the Bitcoin, even if we retrace, significantly, we are going up. That's the trend, and you can't stop it.
All right, we've been on long enough. But we make fools of ourselves, particularly on Saturday night. And I have a little thing, and Kestutis is really good at it. But we do the ugly old goat dance, and it goes something like this. It goes hodl, 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 save, 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 build up, sound money, sound money. So we all have to get up and do this, and you guys have to all be fools.
Everybody has to do it.
Everybody has to get up and do this. All right, then, baby, you got to do this. Come on, everybody. Here we go. Okay. Hodl, hodl, hodl. Save, save, save. Build up. Money. All right. It was so much fun. And that is Bitcoin Saturday Night Live. Thank you guys for showing up. And we got to do this again. This is the new paradigm in trading. Market management. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much, Venzen, for showing it. Thanks, Victor, for developing this tool, and thanks, Zezo, for sharing your experience. I really look forward to what's going to happen now.
Hey, you know what? We need to bail Zezo out. So if you're going to subscribe to my newsletter, get to that link. He'll get 10% of, you get a 15% discount, and he gets a little 10% bonus, so we can restore him and he can show us how to really trade using market management. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Good night.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.